I'm sure you've seen this woman's story all over online, and I wanted to jump in real quick to give a psych breakdown of the entire situation. This woman's allegations are not just about a DoorDash driver who lost her job and her TikTok account. It's about what happens when someone turns a bad decision into a moral crusade and then can't stop defending it, even as evidence collapses. And let me say before I move on that everything here is alleged. You've likely already seen what videos of hers are still online, so I won't be showing any here. But this will be a look into the psychology of doubling down, using this as a case study with references to a couple of other famous examples. In this woman's TikTok videos, you can even hear her say it herself. I was assaulted. I'm the victim. Over and over. But when we actually look at her initial video, we start to see a deeper pattern that plays out all over social media. Doubling down publicly against insurmountable evidence rather than handling matters behind closed doors. So allegedly, this woman looked into a man's house, filmed him inside his own living room, posted it online, and then framed herself as a victim when it all backfired. DoorDash then fired her, TikTok struck her videos, and instead of stopping, she again doubled down again, and again, each time louder, more emotional, and more certain that the punishment proved her innocence. This video breaks down that entire pattern, how grievance turns to identity, how the internet rewards it, and why people continue to double down even after the truth is right in front of them. So let's dig into the psychology behind all of this, the cognitive dissonance, the dopamine feedback loops, and the culture of online validation that, as I always say, makes admitting fault almost impossible. And then what we'll do is we'll find that this is not just about one viral DoorDash video. It's about the reward system that keeps people defending lies, my opinion, to protect likes. So let's get started with signs of continued doubling down. In this instance, we can see intensified grievance stacking. She's layering harms against her. It starts with the alleged SA, then a loss of her job. The police are doing nothing. TikTok is silencing and demonetizing her. All of that into a single grievance narrative. And each removal or strike becomes fresh proof that she must post again. She repeatedly says public shaming is the only justice available. That converts virality into a moral duty for her, which psychologically justifies repetition and harsher framing. We also see use of a platform and algorithmic cat and mouse. She acknowledges strikes. She says she'll word this as chill as possible and stops showing clips, but keeps reposting the story. This is a classic escalate without evidence loop. Same claim, just with less proof. And it incentivizes more posts to replace ones that are removed. From her, we can also see identity commitment and audience capture. She asserts, I'm the victim, multiple times in every one of her clips. And once followers arrive, her role and community feedback make reversal costlier, pushing continued posting to maintain coherence and support. And one of the more striking ones, I think, here is her sunk cost fallacy. She expresses immediate income loss. She says, my only way to pay my bills, and then threatened a TikTok ban. Those losses heighten urgency and encourage doubling down to recover her resources or to expand her reach. We also see institutional betrayal, according to her. She highlights DoorDash's appeal denial and timing of their public statement, plus, again, police doing nothing. That reframes any counter evidence as further injustice for her and fuels her multiple reassertions. And we also see from her retributive intent. She states that she wants him, that's the man in the house, to feel shame and embarrassment. Believe me, that is not just reporting. It's punitive exposure, which tends to prolong posting cycles like she's been doing. So doubling down is a psychological defense that often emerges when someone's ego, identity, or even their public self-concept feels cornered. Once a person has taken a strong position, especially in front of an audience, then they face what Leon Festinger many years ago described as cognitive dissonance. That's the discomfort of holding two incompatible ideas at the same time. For example, I must be wrong versus I'm a good, competent person. To relieve that tension, many people do not revise their stance. They intensify it. Their mind protects self-image faster than it protects truth. Social psychologist Charles Tilly later called this kind of behavior an account maintenance. And that means that once a story is told publicly, the storyteller's reputation depends on keeping it consistent. Online, that tendency is multiplied by commitment escalation and audience capture. Each public post attracts both supporters and critics, right? Supporters reward affirmation with likes and sympathy. Critics create threat and shame. The nervous system then reads both signals in order to act. To preserve coherence and regain control, the person reiterates the original claim more forcefully. So psychological defense merges with performance incentive. And I'm sure you remember several of these. History and pop culture offer similar versions. When Jussie Smollett doubled down on his fabricated assault story, he was responding to reputational collapse by insisting on innocence, even long after contradictory evidence had surfaced. When Rachel Dolezal defended her racial self-identification, even after exposure, she was protecting a social identity that had become the cornerstone of her purpose. In each case, new evidence threatened not only credibility, but belonging. So persistence became self-preservation. At a neurological level, dissonance reduction activates reward circuits similar to those in addiction. Each act of public reaffirmation delivers a small dopamine spike of certainty and moral clarity. In digital spaces, those spikes are accompanied by feedback loops. Those include notifications, comments, likes, shares, and supportive duets. And over time, reality testing erodes. Social validation becomes the new evidence. And the believe all women climate magnifies this dynamic in gendered cases. Many women expect initial belief as a corrective to centuries of dismissal. But when that expectation meets a fact pattern that doesn't fit genuine victimization, disconfirmation then feels like a betrayal rather than due process. The person then reframes every challenge as further proof of systemic misogyny, tightening the psychological trap. Belief that once offered safety then becomes a shield against accountability. Ultimately, doubling down is often less about deception than it is about ego survival in public, especially for this younger generation. Admitting error feels like social death. Insisting on the story keeps identity intact and the community support alive. The cure here is not humiliation but structure. Environments that reward evaluation over righteousness. Because without that, every digital platform becomes a courtroom where the loudest defense substitutes for truth.